Oh, so now everybody can hear me?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we are in the presentation Introduction to QGIS by Randal, Hale, and I'll pass it over to him.
Excellent. So, good evening, Floridians, wherever everybody is from. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. If you can't, just pop something up in the chat. This is really weird because I can't see any of the fonts on my screen. I don't want to get out of the webinar, so we're just going to wing it and we will figure it out. So let's see, let me turn that off. Can you see all the controls that are on? Okay, let's shrink that out of the way. Let's close this.
Could you go and unmute because I see that you are self-muted? Oh, now.
Okay, and I'm also, let me remute. I'm talking through my phone. If I, hold on just a second. If you,
can you guys hear me now? I'm assuming that would be yes. Oh man, that's awesome. Let me go ahead.
Okay, can everybody still hear me? To avoid the horrendous feedback? Can anybody type something in chat or not type something in chat?
Yes, they can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I'm having some font issues on this side. God bless Windows 10 for this. So anyway, we'll figure it out. I may be a little bit short on the demonstration phase today, but we can work our way through it. So hopefully, let's see, how do I start this off? Hopefully some of you guys have used QGIS for something. Maybe you have it downloaded, maybe you don't. Maybe you're completely horrified at the idea of, you know, there's this open source stuff working on the other side, but it's pretty cool. It's good software. So I do training in it. What I did was take the training class and kind of cut this down to about 40-ish slides. I won't get through all of them. May get through more than I think if I can't use QGIS during this. So, you know, the demos may be a little bit lame, but if you want the presentation, email me afterwards. Email the organizer, they can get a hold of me, I'll send it to you. And you should be able to, you know, kind of play along with this. I got 5 topics to run through during this talk. We may not get to all of them. We may cover them all. I don't know. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to go completely off topic. And, you know, we'll just do something and play around. So I've got QGIS open. If you notice, as it is open, I seem to be missing some fonts with stuff. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's screen share. I must have something not quite right, but anyway, we will work along and see. So what I'm going to do is talk about introduce you to the software, introduce you to the community behind QGIS, show you the interface, talk a little bit about data, a little bit about geoprocessing and the stuff that comes with that, and a little bit about the layout. So hopefully, you know, you're not completely weirded out by the software when you start playing with it. And so a brief history of time on QGIS. QGIS is kind of new-ish software. It started in 2002 as a data viewer for PostGIS. The whole intention was to just look at stuff in a database, you know, not really do much with it, but it kept growing. In 2006, it had its first release. So it's about 14 years old. If you want, you can actually go to the website, qgis.org, and download, I think, version 3 or version 4 of the software. When I say version 4, I mean like version 1.4. The early stuff is still usable. You can still download it, install it. It's a good view of how the software started, or at least what it has come from to what it is now. Before the 2.0 release, we're currently on 3.16 is the current release. It was known as Quantum GIS. You will still hear people call it Quantum. You'll hear it called QGIS, QGIS, several things. Doesn't matter. It installs on everything. So you can run on Windows, you can run on your Mac, you can run on your Linux machine. They have 2 mobile platforms, one for Android and one for iOS. The Android is called QField, and the iOS version is called Input. And Input is more commercial, so you can download it on your iPad or your iPhone. If you're running Android, like I said, there's QField, and Input works also. So it's mobile now. QGIS has now moved to mobile. One thing you probably need to know going into this, QGIS comes out a lot. It does not sit stationary for any amount of time. If you happen to Google or get on the website and look, there's a roadmap. And so you know exactly when something is coming out, when it's going to happen, up to about a year from now, maybe 2 years from now. Currently, 3.16 gets its first service pack in 2 days. So every month, you're going to get 1 service pack for the software. Odd number versions are development releases. I wouldn't suggest running them unless you're, brave or have a lot of time on your hands. If you're good with bug reporting, please run the odd version numbers and help us out. Even version numbers, 3.10, 3.12, 3.14, 3.16 are stable. 3.16 has the unique, advantage. It's going to be a long-term release. It's going to be good for a year. Typically, you get 3 months out of a release. You get a release, you get 3 months worth of updates, then they go to a new version. 3.16 will be good for a year. For those of you in a government situation or an education situation, run with this one. It's not going to release any new. In February the 20th, I believe, there will be no new software added or no new features added, but it will become stable. By that point, it will have 5 service packs or 4 going into it. It'll be stable for a year. So you don't really have to bug your IT staff except to get the service packs loaded. You don't have to, worry about something brand new coming down the pike. So I'm currently running 3.16, which is this one. It usually has fonts in it, so we may end up killing all the demos today. Dadgummit. The community is pretty large and friendly. It's probably one of the largest open source FOSS4G open source GIS desktops out. I think it probably is the largest. There's a couple of other ones that are out. UDig, OpenJump, GVSig, but this one is, I think has the most support and the most use. You can get on the mailing list, talk to anybody. You can get on the developers list. You can talk to developers. You can get online. You can file bug reports. You can make suggestions with new functionality. They're open for everything. We have a conference about once a year. Probably won't happen this year because of pandemic. But there is a FOSS4G North America. The last one was in San Diego in 2019. We'll probably have one in 2021 early, but it's going to be probably virtual. And the QGIS.us group, we just had a national conference in August. It was virtual, and we did workshops. So if you go to YouTube and just look for, you know, the QGIS North America group, you will see the workshops and then the presentations that were presented. So we're a big group of friendly people. Please jump on board and help. Use the software, play around with it. It's fun. So the interface, let's see, 215, and we can do this. The interface isn't anything incredibly different than what than what you could expect. You have a layers panel, you have a browser panel. It's very reminiscent of ArcMap. For those of you maybe experiencing heartburn with Pro, I've got the home release of Pro. I've been trying to use it to maintain some skill sets, but it's quite a bit different. QGIS strives to not make that many changes. It's 64-bit. It comes with the browser panel. Python is the programming language. There's a processing toolbox. There is a processing modeler, so you can build models and for repetitive tasks, work your way through it. You can use Python to add new functionality to work, write scripts, do whatever you want to do. There's a lot of functionality already built in to the software. So the interface, which, darn it, can't see the fonts. If you've got QGIS open, or if you're sitting at your computer and you've got it installed, feel free to kind of click and play along and yell if you have any questions. But you have a project settings, edit settings. There's a lot of settings. They give you plenty of opportunity to make changes to everything. Vector raster tools, database tools, web tools, the mesh tools, which are somewhat similar to TINs. For those of you who remember TIN from the workstation days, and I guess ArcMap still dealt with them a little bit, and your processing toolbox. All these tools, most of these tools are duplicated in the processing toolbox. If we pull it up, oh man, that's so disappointing. I don't know why the fonts aren't showing up. That's awesome. But I'm missing fonts on everything, so we'll make that go away. If you're looking at the interface, and if I jump back up here, I'll probably try this in present mode to make this a little bit bigger. Not bad. Processing toolbox over here, browser panel, and I just ran through the screen that showed you the menu settings up here under one. And we're number 6 will also give you some information as to what's going on. Currently your map scale, where are you in the world with your coordinate system, and what projection you're currently using. And by default, QGIS, excuse me, will come up at 4326, which is EPSG, EPSG 4326, WGS 84. Probably one of the more important, I would say the most important toolbar you're going to see is the data source toolbar. That's going to kind of drive everything you do. If you're looking from left to right on the interface, you're going to have a button that is the data source manager, a button to make a GeoPackage. I don't know how many of you guys know about GeoPackage or heard about it, but it's kind of it's the default packaging format or file creation tool for QGIS. So if you start making data, it's going to push you towards GeoPackage. There's no reason you have to use it. So you can make shape files, you can make spatial light layers. They have a special layer called a scratch layer, which is temporary. If you close QGIS and you have several scratch layers, they're gone. You really want to save them or do something with them, but it makes processing processing results a lot easier because you can dump to a temporary scratch layer, look at your data, and go, hey, that's wonderful, or oh, that's terrible, and delete it and regenerate. So if you click on the data source manager, and it's this icon on the left, the button on the left, it really does something kind of funny. To me, it's funny. Before 2.0, on the interface, you had about 10 buttons to look at data. And so you had a button for vector data, a button for raster data, a button for importing CSVs, a button for this, a button for that. And so they decided to take all those buttons and make one button. So you got to click the one button to get to the other buttons. User design is exciting, but if you clicked on your data source manager and open it up, you'll notice that you can get to the browser. The browser is very similar to ArcCatalog, not quite as functional, but it allows you to look for files and add files to QGIS. You have vector, raster, GeoPackage. PostgreSQL is kind of my database of choice if I'm going to do any kind of work. You can connect to it, spatial like SQL Server, MS SQL, DB2, virtual layers, which are a whole other topic in QGIS, and it also supports, WMS, the tiling map services, WCS, WFS. Also notice it also supports Map Server, ArcGIS Map Server, and ArcGIS Feature Server. So if you are, if your organization or your county or your state or whatever publishes data through Arc Server, you're not left out. All you have to do is connect. And let's see if I can. I just have a bad feeling this isn't going to work, but we're going to try it anyway. Let's see. Maybe one more time the fonts will come back. And maybe not. So we'll just let that open and we'll see what happens. But I keep a connection here to the local county. So my local county, Hamilton County, I'm in Tennessee, by the way, publishes a lot of their data, almost all their data through Arc Server, and they have a lot of the REST services are open. The state of Tennessee also publishes a lot of data. We have a state imagery layer. I get to that for clients, and it's free to use. So I connect to it for forestry clients, and they get fairly up to date. In Tennessee, we refly the state a quarter of the state a year. So every 4 years, we have a complete image, from one end to the other. And, you're never more than 4 years out of date. 4 years is a long time, but, it works really well. And connecting in, you can see all the vector data. You can see everything you want to see using the ArcMap Server, Arc Feature Server connections. And once again, the browser panel, it'll allow you to set your favorite project. So if you have something on the network, you can drive to it, set it as a favorite, so you can have a quick connect back. It'll let you explore your spatial bookmarks. You can also explore data set, GeoPackages, shapefiles, tiles. If you have XYZ tiles, it'll pull those in. And once again, your ArcGIS Map Server, Feature Server. And I did that for the demo, and dadgummit. I don't have fonts, so not happening. I'll just continue to talk. And like I said, if you guys have questions about this afterwards, feel free to email me or call or whatever you want to do. QGIS is a bit of a Swiss Army knife as far as data formats go and packages. So it will support up to, I think it's 50 plus now. My slides are a little bit out of date. Vector formats. It'll display GPX. It'll display KML. It'll display file-based geodatabase. If you hand it, it'll do everything but raster within a file-based geodatabase. and it'll open 75 raster format. So if nothing else, you should have this installed just for, the added magic of being able to open a lot of stuff and do a lot of data conversion from one format to the other. And, it has a very nice limited text importer, which seems kind of silly to say, but I'm a fan of CSV, and it has a very easy to use interface for pulling in CSV files. So the interface itself, QGIS has, if I were able to view this up here, there is an option for making settings globally within QGIS, and this would be the global panel. So you can go in and set a projection. If you're never going to leave Tennessee State Plain, or Georgia East, Georgia West, Alabama East or West, you can go in and set that and say, I'm never going to leave this. Let's go ahead and set it. You can work with your projections. You can change some of your renderings. You can change your select color from yellow to red or blue or whatever color you want it to be. You can set your digitizing snapping preferences in here, and this will follow you no matter what happens in QGIS. You can open and close projects. These settings will stay with you. When you build a project, and QGIS saves a thing called a QGZ file, not usable in Arc. I mean, these things aren't tradable because it's two completely different pieces of software. But the QGZ file also has properties. So if you're doing something specific with a project, you can go into the project properties and set projection information, snapping, different things that you want to see from the project menu over here. And when you're in there working, probably one of the more, actually it's really not confusing anymore. QGIS had, about a year and a half ago, about 2 years ago, there was a funding campaign to update the projection libraries in the open source world, the Proj libraries. And it was a pretty hefty fundraising effort. I think they collected over $120,000. The two biggest contributors were ESRI and I think SAFE, the people that make FME SAFE systems were two of the biggest contributors, I think at $30,000 a piece. And so QGIS has gotten really, really good over the last year at recognizing projections, even your Esri well-known text projections. So it's getting better. Used to, the project properties were a little bit of a pain because you could go in and set up how you wanted the project to run. Do you want it in 2274? What projection do you want this to stay in? And that's where you would go make these settings in the project properties. As of today, all this gets filled out automatically. The only thing that doesn't really are the units for distance measurement and the units for area measurement. So you can say your area measurement to be in square feet. I'm always working in Tennessee State Plain, which has a unit of feet. You can set your unit for area measurement in square miles, acres, whatever you need it to be. Distance measurement you can also set for feet, yards, miles, whatever you need that to be also. So now I was going to demo that, but I wonder what it would. Well, I'll just click that again. Let's ignore that. Dadgummit. Go back to present mode. And yeah. Well, it looks like I'm going to get through everything in about 45 minutes. Darn it. Man. Well, part of the fun of live presentations. Come home with your shield or come home on your shield. QGIS has a lot of toolbars. We don't have as many as ArcMap. I think we only got like 10 or 12 toolbars. And if you hover your mouse over a toolbar, over an icon, it will pop up and let you know what you're looking at. And this is the attribution toolbar. As you can see here, we have an identify tool. We have feature actions. You can actually build actions into a mouse click. So say you want to click on a polygon and attribute it as something, or you want to copy it somewhere, delete it, or you can build an action in there. Select features, open the attribute table. There's quite a bit you can do here. Measuring tools, statistics tools, field calculator, all of that stuff. Everything that you're used to seeing in your other software is here. And just to kind of reiterate, like I said, we're dealing with about 50 vector and data, 50 vector formats and a lot of raster. And GeoPackage is the default, like I said, and don't be worried if you're using GeoPackage, because ArcPro will read it, and I believe so will ArcMap. So if you're working along and you build a GeoPackage, you can hand that off to your Arc compatriots, and they can read it and do everything they want to do. They can also build a GeoPackage, hand it off to you, and you can edit and go nuts and do all your stuff. So don't be worried about it. It's actually really nice because I hesitate to say, like, we're almost at the point where we can hand this stuff back and forth somewhat effortlessly, but we're getting close, very, very close to being able to do that. As I said earlier, QGIS will do 4 data types: shapefile, spatial light, GeoPackage, and scratch layers. And with ArcGIS, 3 of these things are compatible. The 3 things that make a physical file. Shapefiles make the world go round. They will be here after the nuclear strike. Spatial light and GeoPackage. So, it's pretty easy to work along, easy to use these things. You're not going to strand your data. Arc users can hand stuff off to you. You can hand stuff back to them, and it works really, really well. Projections, the world is not flat. It's always funner to do that joke in person because people, some people will chuckle, and a couple people will corner me after class and, well, did you watch YouTube? No. But QGIS handles, most of your geographic, it handles just about everything as far as projected coordinate systems and everything. It reprojects on the fly. So if you bring in data in 4326, whatever the native Florida projections that you're dealing with, it will organize and put all these things together for you. By default, it's reproject on the fly. You can turn that off and kind of spread your data out to make sure everything's fine. As of the 3 series, you can mix and match projections in the processing tool. So if you're going to run a clip, you can clip your 2274 Tennessee State Plain data with a 4326 polygon, and everything's cool. I like to keep everything in the same projection. I think it makes your life a lot easier, and there's less questions. But some people just kind of run with it. Don't worry about it. Regardless, the geoprocessing tools are going to work, and everything's going to be good. QGIS is really, really good at guessing what the projection is. It will take every little bit it can and figure it out. If it cannot, it will generate a CRS. And usually the CRS is like 100,001. If you're not familiar with the EPSG codes, and I think ArcPro and ArcMap now are pretty ingrained with EPSG, you have a certain number of codes in QGIS, and I think anything above 10 or 20,000 becomes an ESRI generated code, and anything above that is the one that it's working with trying to figure out. And also, if you don't have a projection, so you've developed one, QGIS will let you go in and build your own. And later, if you figure out one of these generated CRSs are actually something that you need, you can go back and rename it, add it to the projection list of stuff in your project. The projections are stored in the bottom right of QGIS, so you'll see little, unknown CRS or EPSG 4326 or whatever you want. You can go in and change that, and set it to, you can see here a lot of the stuff that I have worked on. I've got Tennessee State Plain, Georgia West, for some reason Florida North. I don't know why, but, and your projections are, if you use something more than once, it stores in your recently used coordinate system, so you can go back to that pretty quickly and bounce around. Because of the new projection libraries that QGIS is getting, you now get a lot of transformation warnings. They are trying to make things as accurate as they can. In general, if you get a transformation menu that comes up, the highlighted choice is your best choice. If you don't like that, you've got a lot of options. If you are a transformation fanatic, if you happen to get on the Proj list, they talk about this stuff quite a bit. So you can see here, I was jumping from NAD 83 to WGS 84, I believe, or I was going from one to the other. Anyway, I was jumping datums, and so QGIS popped up and wanted to let me know, here's what's getting ready to happen with the data. And the first question I had, man, I am running out of time. The first question I had, well, I'm halfway done. The first question I had was, and when using QGIS, so I ended up using this several years ago on the project, kind of out of necessity. And the first question was, well, how do I reproject data? And in QGIS now, it's pretty easy. There's actually 2 or 3 different ways to do it. It all drives you to the same menu, but to reproject the data, you just right-click on your data layer and go to Export, Save As, and you can change the format, you can change the projection, and you can change the name of the data. So you can save this stuff out. You know, and once you've worked with it enough, everything's kind of handled. It's exported out. It's pretty smooth going through there. Again, we're going to have a demo, but it ain't going to work. Also, just to show you, I include some sacrilege in this presentation. I show you Arc Pro, don't know what version, and I can show you that it can see the GeoPackage as it is dumped out. So you can work your way back into it and add data from the GeoPackage. Every data layer that you have, you can work through, and you can right-click on your data layer and bring up data properties. And those properties will give you the chance to set symbolization, labeling, 3D, which I can't show you because of the font issue, darn it. How to build drop-down forms. QGIS will allow you to build forms to do data entry. Very similar to subtype and domains, a little bit more flexible than those. Actually, way more flexible than those, but you can build forms to work through your data. QGIS has a server install. I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but it is getting better. And so you can build projects and actually shove them into a server format and just get them to display. They've spent a lot of time with Symbology, all in a move to get better cartographic representation in QGIS. And so when you go into your right click on your data layers, go to Symbology, the world is your oyster for labeling, for setting up colors, for setting up anything. It's very, very flexible. You can spend days sitting here coloring hillshades and doing all kinds of things. The very interesting thing, and I'm going to jump to the geoprocessing section because I'm starting to run out of time. I've mentioned GeoPackage a couple of times, and I've also mentioned PostGIS. If, say you're working on a project and you're going to save all your stuff to GeoPackage, or you're going to save it to PostGIS, or even shapefiles this works with, you can make a style and save your style to live in the GeoPackage, alongside the GeoPackage, alongside your shapefiles inside the database. It makes a QML file, which ArcMap makes an LYR. I'm unsure of what Pro makes. but you can actually embed your styles in the GeoPackage. So if you hand this off to somebody, if you hand this off to another QGIS user, they're going to inherit everything that you set up. So if you symbolize something the way you like it, they get it. It's going to look the same. Doesn't work that way if you're handing off to another piece of software, but amongst the QGIS crowd, this is awesome. I was going to show you a really cool demo, but I'm not. Geoprocessing. Now, I was going to get to map layout, but probably not going to get there. The processing toolbox is very similar to what you're seeing in Arc Toolbox. When you click on processing at the top, it pulls down a whole set of tools. They also have tool providers. So on a Windows install of QGIS, you're going to see a set of tools here. And you're also going to see Goodle or GDAL, depending on your preference, grass tools, Sega tools, and different things. And the really cool thing with this, the processing toolbox will take a tool from grass. Say you enjoy the image processing properties of grass, you can pull those tools in, connect it to your QGIS tools. If there's something in Sega that you particularly want to use, you can connect those tools to the Sega model, run the whole thing through. I guess it would be similar to connecting Word to, I don't know, Word to Adobe Photoshop and then into another piece of software. So you can kind of jump back and forth in the tools that you like here. And so when you install QGIS, it's going to come with Grass, Sega, Goodle by default, because that's where, or GDAL, that's where a lot of the tools come from. The geoprocessing toolbox, you can build models, you can share models, you can pass them around. All this software can be used independently outside of QGIS. So if you really want to use Grass, like if I get a lot of processing work, for instance, LiDAR, I will generally just start Grass independently, work through the tool set there, then pull it back into QGIS. So you can do that. The processing modeler, if you're going to build tools, here's how you do it. You would drag an input in, be it a point, something, you want to clip it, and you want to do an output. And so you can build this very similar to Arc Toolbox. I still think Model Builder in Arc Toolbox is a little bit easier, but I've built a lot of models in here, and they're pretty flexible, and you can export them to Python and learn the ins and outs there and work through them. The last thing I guess we'll get to is talking about plugins. So QGIS, if you're working through QGIS and you figure out there is not something there that you need, you can write a plugin, or somebody can write a plugin for you. And there are a lot of plugins that do all kinds of things. If you open at the top of QGIS your plugins and you want to manage and install plugins, you can go look at the things that are not installed. And there's probably a couple of hundred. As you can just see here, ArcGIS, ArcGIS, Image Server Connector. These things are vetted by the community. They've got to include the source code. They do a lot of really cool things. And the demo I was going to open, I've actually hired developers in the QGIS community to write plugins for me. And it's very hard to abandon them because you've got to include the source code. So if something doesn't work right and it's gone, you suddenly falls off the radar, you can track it down, email the owner, hey, can I have this plugin? Can we take over development and start working with it? Some of the really nice plugins, which I can't show you because something's going on, but Quick Map Services will let you pull in Bing imagery, Google imagery, OpenStreetMap. QGIS to Web will let you build a website, a web map from your static project that you can load on a server. So there's a lot of room for excitement in the plugin world. And with that, we got the layouts, and just I'll say with layouts, you too can make a PDF. Layouts are very ArcView 3.1 like. You open a separate menu, you drag and drop you drag a box in here to put your map in, and it's very similar. You have toolbars in the layout manager, and by the time you're done, you can build a very small map. This is downtown Chattanooga with parcel layer overlaid with a north arrow, a scale bar, just very, very simple things. And you set up the properties, control the scaling, and control the rotation. And it also has a atlas feature and a report writer, which will let you make multiple maps to export. So with all of that, I think we're at 2:45. So moderator, oh, you told me it was 5 minutes left. So, okay, presentation must end at 2:50. So what are we sitting at? It's 2:47 over here in God's country. If I put everybody to sleep, I'm assuming I have put everybody to sleep. So, questions, thoughts, angst, anger. You guys join the community. Jump in, learn about some stuff. I mean, it's a big active community. We do quite a bit.
Hey, Randal.
Yeah.
I have a couple of few questions that we have 3 minutes to answer. From Ryan Lohman, will these slides be available after the presentation? We're going to have a recording, so it will be available for everybody.
Yeah, I can send you the slides. If you want to email me, if you look right now on the screen, that's my email. Email me, and I'll be more than happy to send you the slides.
And from Noni Castro, this is really wonderful, not asleep. Thank you so much. And Christy Randall, think I will, thanks.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and sorry. Oh, okay, and sorry about the demo. Like, I really wanted to run through a demo, but I think this GoToMeeting and my to be completely honest with you guys, I never run Windows on anything. I run Linux, and I'm running Windows in a virtual machine, and apparently between that and the GoToMeeting, I think it hates my fonts on everything. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please email me. I'll be more than happy to walk through whatever questions you have. And please download QGIS and use it, and do something awesome with it.
Well, thank you so much, Randall, and thank you everybody for joining. And the next presentation will start at 3 o'clock. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.